I'd like to call this meeting of the Harriman City Council to order September 7th, 2021. Before we get started, we'll have a prayer by Councilman Wright, followed by the pledge allegiance to the flag. Councilman Wright.
Would you join me? Our Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight asking for your guidance and wisdom and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion and allow us to grow closer as a council and strengthen the bonds of our community. Father, we thank you for the successes that our town has made, and we pray for your continued support and guidance as we move forward. Bless all who are in attendance here at this meeting tonight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Here.
Buddy Holly.
here.
Tim Johnson.
Here.
Kenyon Me. Sam Russell.
Here.
Lonnie Wright.
Here.
I'd like to declare a quorum. Motion to approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2021 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Councilman Holly.
Motion.
Floor is open for discussion, corrections. Call the roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion to pay the salaries.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Frost.
Second.
Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Frost.
Motion.
Councilman Holly.
Motion.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Russell, second.
A second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Russell.
No, sir.
Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Before we get into delegation, just like to say we're in a smaller room. With us being in a smaller room, that just means the bigger room's getting fixed. So hopefully in a couple of months we'll be in our new council chamber. So we'll just have to squeeze in here maybe the next couple of months, and then we'll go into the new chamber. At this time, we're going to delegation. If you'd like to address this council, please come to the podium, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening to all of you. Thank you for hearing me. I have an issue that's come to my concern over city law enforcement, and I don't mean police. Now, I've talked with Councilman Johnson about this. Since I sent him this a couple weeks ago, I thought it only fair that I read you in exactly what I sent to him. I addressed him, my name is Victor Hartland. My wife and I live in Harriman on Morton Road. We moved to Harriman 2.5 years ago from Rockwood to flee a degrading city that no one seems to care about anymore. And lately I've been fighting that same feeling about Harriman. I went to the August 3rd meeting and listened to it as y'all conducted our business. I heard enough to believe that you care about the growth of the city. But unfortunately it doesn't reflect in some of the older neighborhoods. I work hard to maintain my property. I pick up trash when it blows in. I work on my yard to keep the grass presentable. I work on my home to keep it in good repair, but I seem to be a dying breed. There are several homes around the community that are allowed to deteriorate into disrepair, old buildings allowed to rot from neglect, and yards that seem to belong to people who don't know the difference in a lawn and a hayfield. Trash, scrap wood, they're not just eyesores, they're a drain on home values. And this is really why I'm starting to get concerned. Harriman has codes that cover these issues. Now, I know Jimmy does what he can when a complaint is raised. What I don't understand is why the city doesn't just enforce these without someone having to complain. I've recently been to Jimmy, and though he's handling the complaint, I now have a target painted on my back. And the problem is that a concerned resident shouldn't have to suffer retaliation or call the city to do a job that it's already hired to do. there are people in place to do these things. And it brings me all to one question, is why are these code violations allowed to persist? And it's not just recent. The buildings don't rot without years to get there.
I understand what you're saying and agree with a lot of it. And as I've said for the last 5 years, I ran for mayor to clean Harriman up. And it don't happen overnight. We do take people to court, we do fine them, we do things. We've been without a coach person for a while. But a lot of it is pride in the community. And you can take them to court and you can fine them and fight them and fight them. It doesn't change the pride that they have in their property. That doesn't change what you've got and the problems. I don't know what you've got as far as around your property or what issues you've got going on.
Well, the issues I have are minuscule compared to what I'm talking about. It's like I pointed out to Mr. Johnson, what we recently finished at the park, it was awesome down there. My wife loves to go down there and use the walking trail. So you drive down Pansy Hill and you cross the bridge that goes over the park, and there's a building. It's been sitting there like this for years. Why has it fell in, I don't know. But these things are not just an eyesore, they're a safety hazard. They're with mice, rats, which leads to stray cats, snakes.
And a lot of those things are tied up in court. We've been tied up in court for about 3 or 4 years with a lot of what you are talking about. The buildings, some buildings downtown, that building, a lot of those buildings. And when COVID hit, it froze everything. But going through a court system, our city attorneys here, a lot of times it takes time. We just changed out attorneys. We're working on some of this stuff. We gave him a stack probably that big of code violations that we're trying to get through the process. Tom, do you want to speak on it just a tad?
Sure. Yeah, we've been working on that. What we're trying to do so far, and Mr. Cofer has been handling a lot of it, but we put together a group here that's beginning to work with him, and we're trying to streamline the process. If there's complaints that you have, we have an office here to make those. And to my knowledge, we go and look at everything that's brought to our attention. And we're happy to do that.
And it takes another big problem, and when we hired Jimmy, one of the first things I said to him was, don't overload because you can't finish what you'll start because there's so much. And he learned real quick that you go after 10 people, it takes you 2 months to get those done to start on the next. By the time you start on the next, those 10 still went back to what they was doing before. Seems like it's a never-ending story, but I completely understand what you're saying. And I know this council is for cleaning Harriman up and doing whatever we can. You know, we've tried to do it the right way. We've looked at our laws, our ordinances. Matter of fact, we're updating one tonight to put more teeth into it. Scott, you got something more?
I was going to, believe me, I share your frustration. I've only been on the job for about 2.5 months, and there's one particular building downtown. I asked our attorney, Tom McFarland, and I wanted to put a big banner up there. Owner of this property does not care about downtown Harriman. Not allowed to do that. And I said, well, I'll put something on the sidewalk. He said, well, you can't do that. And it's frustrating. We've got a property that's been court ordered in Chancery Court 2 years ago, and the progress was being made, but I think because of COVID. So trust me, that's one thing Jimmy and I've talked about, and probably each of these councilmen, it is something that's near and dear. It is frustrating, and but I can promise you we're working on it. And it's not just things that are reported. We're out looking all the time, and so I can promise you it's something near and dear to everybody sitting in this room's heart. And call me anytime, and we'll get the car and go look if there's things, and if we don't know about it, I can promise you we'll get the ball rolling.
Well, it sounds like y'all probably know about it.
Probably do, and
Okay. Well, like I said, what's going on around me is not my only concern. It's really just what was the icing on the cake for me.
Councilman Russell had a really good idea, and it's just like the mayor just said, bring some pride back. We're gonna do, it's called a Porch Parade this fall and a Porch Parade this spring, and it hopes to bring some pride back. I just went through a webinar, City of Harriman is gonna be part of Clean Tennessee. It's a nationwide initiative to address litter and just making places look better. So, two things I'm really excited about that I hope will bring some change and some people take some pride, because that's where it starts.
Well, I do appreciate your time. Thanks for everything.
We appreciate you coming and speaking, and we're here to help. Like I said, like Scott said, call us anytime. We'll be glad to come out and look. And you shouldn't have to have a target on your back because you stand up for what's right and for what laws that we have in place.
Well, I'm not worried about him right now, but I always worry about my home values. And like I said earlier, I could sell my house now for more than I could ever sell it for in the market we've got. I mean, I don't want to, but the way things are around me, I couldn't get a buyer if I wanted to. And, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address council?
I'm Bruce Knobloch, president of the Cornstalk Heights Historical Community Organization, as well as the chair for the Harriman Historic Zoning. Actually, I didn't plan on saying anything today, but after your comments, I just wanted to really, again, kind of point out a couple of different things. One is, as you all have said, it's the pride of the city that makes the difference. Yesterday, we had the parade for Harriman, and having a booth there for our nonprofit organization, we had a lot of visitors stop by from other cities. What was interesting was a couple that was driving through. They don't like to take the interstate, so they were coming up Highway 27, saw the flag, realized it was a street festival, decided to stop. They have such compliments for our city. Even though we do have spy source, they recognize what we're doing and the advances we're making. And Lonnie, if I could bring this up, I think you mentioned your son had come by sometime in the past, and he likes to drive through Cornstalk Heights just to see the old neighborhood. And he commented last time he was here, it's looking better than ever. And that's the point I want to make, is we've lived here now for 35 years. Over that period of time, especially because of the pride of the historic district and the people that are looking at improving Harriman history altogether, we're actually improving the properties here. We now, and this is going to be part of my newsletter for this coming month, but it used to be we would have no homes above $100,000. Now we have homes that need renovation you can buy for less than $100,000, but we have homes that are selling that have been renovated and improved, selling over $300,000. That's not an exception, that's becoming the rule. And again, it's the pride of people having in their property that they make those kind of improvements, which does improve the property values around them. The area you're in, I'm not familiar with, but the only thing I could suggest is to find some way of getting plugged in, as they're suggesting, and get involved with these opportunities to improve the neighborhoods, create more of a pride in the city and in your own specific community. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you some of the good things that are going on at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address council? If not, we'll move into reports. Dr. Curley.
Oh, we've had quite a bit of activity recently. We closed the books for FY21 and generated the audit reports in preparation for doing the annual audit. We inserted new budget numbers into the general ledger, and you'll see that on your report tonight, and we have those in there. We completed the budget packet for the city and HUB, sent that down to the comptroller's office for review. We have taken training and installed the new software that we'll be using. The next step is to get the hardware here, and we're setting it up to bring in. So we should be all set up and semi-learned on it by the time property tax payments are due. And we also sent our property tax information to Nashville for the new tax building. So kind of give you an update on activities that we've been engaged in. That's all. Okay.
Anybody have anything for Dr. Carter? Thanks, sir. City Attorney, Tom, you have any updates?
Just a comment or two. First of all, I just want to mention that the city manager has come in here and brought what I see to be a positive attitude and a ton of energy to this place. And just as an outsider looking in, I can see the difference that he's making already. I think he's doing a good job. The only other comment I have is a personal one. I appreciate everyone reaching out to me when my dad passed away and putting up with me when I was in quarantine last month. So anyway, and I'll have comments on 7C on the agenda when we get there.
Anybody have anything for City Attorney? Thanks, sir. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. I'd like to start my report this evening with the introduction of two of our newest firefighters, Philip Frost and Skylar Alter. Come on up, guys. They just completed their paperwork this week, last week, right, Teresa? And they're eager to get started, just finished rookie school. Am I right, guys?
No, I've been in it for a couple of years.
Okay, disagree with you. They are going to be two new additions, and according to Chief Daniels, they are chomping at the bit to get started, and we will this week. So certainly glad to have Philip and Skylar on board the city of Harriman. Right. One thing included in your packet, Councilman, is something I'm going to start trying to do every week, and I just entitled it The Direction. What that is a snapshot that's everything that's taken on in City Hall during each week, so that if you're out and about in public, if somebody should ask you a question, I don't want you to be blindsided, I want you to be informed, so hopefully this will keep you up to date. I'll send this out via email every Friday, and I'll have a date down there as well. You should have gotten this on August the 31st, which was I think last Wednesday, but from here on it'll be every Friday. But check your email. I know a couple of them maybe didn't have the right email, so if you didn't get that, just let me know and I'll make sure. But you should have that. Hopefully that'll be just a help as you're out and about and talking to the public. But that's the direction in which the city of Harriman is going, and hopefully it'll be useful to you. Also, I'm going to share with you, once I make sure I have your right email address, one thing to help keep y'all informed. This is very small, and I'm sorry about this. It looks a lot better on the computer, but it's a Google Drive that Keita has really been a big help in putting together. But and talking with Dr. Curley and Teresa, one of the things we wanted to do was try and get a handle on where we were on our grants, and what this form will do, it's interactive, so it lets you know what grants we have active, what areas are being affected by it within the city, and we'll keep it updated when we have payments, anything along that line. Contacts of our contact person is all on this. And again, I'm sorry, it's very hard to read, but you pull that up on your computer and you can check on that anytime. So again, if you'll check your email, I'll share this with you tomorrow, but just another effort by everybody in this building to keep y'all more informed about what's going on with our grants. From our Parks and Recreation, our golf, they have some plans. We're looking to start what's called a Storybook Trail. We're going to start that down at Riverfront Park, and this was Natasha's idea, and also a passport trail that involved both young and older citizens in Harriman. But basically the way it'll work, you could have your children down, or your grandchildren, whatever the case may be, nieces and nephews down at Riverfront Park, and you walk around, you take your cell phone, and you'll have a QR code. And on that QR code, you come to sign and you hold it, and it'll be an interactive children's book. It might be Winnie the Pooh this month. And so as you walk around the trail, you come to the next sign, you hold that up, and tells the next chapter in the book. So hopefully it'll be a way to encourage people to get out, use our parks, but also encourage family time. And we're going to expand that once we try it down at Riverfront Park. Natasha's working on grants right now. What's even better about this, it's eligible for literacy grants, which will include our schools. So hopefully we can pull all our elementary and middle schools on board, and it'll be something really useful and just another way to use our parks, and like I said, bring our families together. And Natasha is also looking at a passport trail that will encourage our citizens to get out and walk our different neighborhoods, our different parks, and then even across city limits. And then they would record that, and whoever walks the most miles or most days, I need to get Natasha up here to tell a little bit about it. Maybe they get to spend the afternoon with Mayor Best, maybe on the golf course, something like that. But looking for ideas to hopefully involve young and old and just really showcase what we've got here in Harriman. So kudos to Charlie and Natasha on working on that. We're going to have a meeting on Thursday morning at the golf course to look at some of the money y'all set aside for paving. We need to install a new cart path on hole number 8, trying to determine the best way to do that, and also to patch some of the areas. I think there'll be enough money left over to pave either part of the parking lot or part of that front area up there where they keep the carts stored. Some of the other things that they have planned through our Parks and Recreation, Martha Wilkinson, who's just been on board as our events coordinator, has got Riverfront Park scheduled, I think, in October for Touch a Truck. Again, this is in the direction that hopefully will bring children down of all ages, especially young children, down to Riverfront Park and get up close and personal to bulldozers, dump trucks, bucket trucks. Just hopefully it'll be just a great time to use that park. So she has that scheduled, and then we're also working in conjunction with Harriman High School for a 5K and a 10K run that'll benefit the Harriman softball team. And that'll be through downtown and through our historic district. So those are two of the events we've got coming up. And I did forget, if you're a golfer, we've gone from 160 to 130 on the greens by popular demand. And what that means, the greens are cut a little bit closer, but we've had positive feedback from our members and our guests on that. The golf course is in really good shape. Mentioned something else through Parks and Recreation, and Councilman Russell bought us, and hopefully it'll address what you just talked about right there, taking different areas of the city and having a porch parade. So the way that'll work, you take a picture of your porch before, decorate it in fall, and then you take a picture afterwards, and then hopefully, we'll have a contest, we'll have some prizes, but we'll take each of the various neighborhoods in Harriman, and hopefully that will catch on to bring about some pride. And again, we'll have prizes for it, but hopefully as we get prepared for the fall season and then turn around and try to again do a spring porch parade. So hopefully that will be really good. And then we'll also mention, attended a webinar this morning about Clean Tennessee, and that's a nationwide initiative, but the state of Tennessee is taking a lead on that. And I went ahead and signed us up, and we'll get more information on that, but I posted on the city Facebook page this morning the video that goes along with it. It just talks about keeping our rivers, our streets, and our communities clean, and we need to do something now. So hopefully that'll address some of the issues that you discussed earlier. From our roads department, our long arm, which is a tractor that we use to cut grass on the side and brush, we've had a problem with the transmission. We've sent that off to look at, could not get the thing in reverse. So we've been without a long arm for a while, but thanks to Dennis Ferguson and the Roane County Highway Department, we've had on loan from them for 2 weeks, and Drac's been able to get a lot of stuff cut on the sides of the road. We're hoping we can put a new transmission in our long arm, which will be much cheaper than having to buy a new one, which is about $145,000. I think the transmission we're looking at now is about $3,000, but it's been sorely missed. But you can see around River Road, around the interstate areas, Drac's crew's been hard at work doing that, as well as their routine mowing, cleaning ditches, and you've probably noticed they started patching some of the potholes that we've had due to the rain. From our library, they just finished up their annual August book sale. Some of their older books they had, half of that inventory was sold, and all the money that goes from that, they turn around and use for supplies for the library and library programs that they offer throughout the year. The other half of the inventory that didn't get sold, they will hold and make that available at the next book sale, so maybe they'll get sold then. Also, they may purchase and replenish one area of their inventory. The young adult and juvenile series has been really popular. We've had some books that weren't brought back or have gone missing or just damaged and out of date. So Tammy's done a really good job keeping the inventory current, I guess is a better way, especially the young adult and juvenile series. They're also awaiting word on the technology grant that they applied for. If they receive that, that's going to be used to update their web design service that the library offers. So they're really excited about that. At our September 21st workshop that we'll have after council meeting, I'm going to try and inform y'all a little more on the funds coming from the state and federal government, the American Rescue Plan. Keita, myself, and Doc sat down this past week with Josh Gillespie, Frankie, and Candace from HUB, started brainstorming some ideas on how we're going to formulate a plan to use these funds to best benefit Harriman. So hopefully at that workshop, I'll have a slideshow for you to bring you in tune a little more to what those funds can be used for, and we'll start developing a plan as we move forward from the city. And if you want to sit down and get really in depth, I'll be glad to do a practice run with you prior to that, but I'm looking forward to doing that. And last but not least, of course, yesterday, everybody was a little tired when we came in today, but it was a fantastic hooray for Harriman. Natasha West, Martha Wilkinson, Tammy Best, and even Councilman Frost, who served as a capeless Superman, all took part. But I tell you what, the positive feedback, and it's been a while since I've done a hooray for Harriman, but we're blessed to have beautiful weather, huge crowds, and I think a lot of good memories were made by everybody who attended, and it was just a fantastic time. And like Mr. Knobloch said, we got to put one of our best foot forward. The only thing that I really heard that caused me a little consternation was somebody said, we need to do this every month. And I went, heavenly days. It's, the planning that Natasha and Martha and Tammy and put in for that. It showed yesterday. And so kudos to them. It was really good reflection on the city of Harriman. You don't have any questions? That's it for my report this evening.
I just want to say that if you haven't seen the City of Harriman's Facebook page, you need to go there and look, because the mayor was called out by the city manager in a wrestling ring, and I went in and took care of it. So it's on Facebook, you can't deny it. So
that's one reason I have a little wrench in my neck. He got me in a neck hold and made me tap out. So
thank you, sir. He let me do that, so just. This time we're going to new business. First item, discuss and possibly approve the appointment of HUB board. I'd like to recommend to the city council that we put Sean Smith on there. He is an administrator at the NHC. His wife is principal at Harriman Middle School. Sean is here in attendance back here. He's been in Harriman, I guess, all of his life, as long as I've ever known him, and very intelligent young man that wants to get involved and help his community and be a part of it. And I've had long discussions with him about Harriman utilities, and he went to their meetings and listened in and stuff, but I think he would be a good asset to the board.
I make motion.
Motion by Councilman Russell.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Russell.
No, sir.
Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Ryan Cross.
yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you for serving. Next item, discuss and possibly approve ordinance 0921-01, change for 17-110 municipal codes of refuse from construction, demolition, or repairs. Scott, you want it?
Thank you, Mayor. What you have in your packets, our proposed changes is the first page that we'd like to change to, and then on the back page is our current policy. And speaking with Jimmy and what the gentleman addressed the council earlier during the hearing of delegations, this is one change that we would like to make. Right now, as you see on that second page, our current policy is really, it's broad. It doesn't have, it doesn't define a lot of things that we see going on in the city that would make it a whole lot easier for not only Jimmy, our codes enforcer, but also our city attorney, Tom McFarland, to help get pushed through the court. So what it does, it goes in there and defines some things that makes it much easier when we try to enforce our codes, to be more specific. And if allowed, I'd like Jimmy, he's the one who's done all the research on this. If you have any questions, I'd love for Mr. Emile to explain that in a little more in detail. Somebody yield the floor.
I yield the floor. Jimmy?
Does anybody have any questions? What I'd like to explain to you is that the reason I wanted to change this is the mayor and I had a conversation one day, and I've been having a lot of trouble getting people to get the stuff cleaned up. And well, no, the city's gonna do it, the city always does it, it's always, no, that's changed, people, that's, you know. They think that whatever they put out in the side of the road in the alleys that we're gonna get, whether it be mattresses, furniture, which we got a ton of it out there, old car seats, all this stuff, that they're actually responsible for. So with this new change here, what I proposed is that it gives us more meat. I got something I can sink my teeth into with this. With the old one, it's, you know, it was good for its day. Well, its day's kind of past. It doesn't have a whole lot of constant in it. It's kind of weak, I think, myself. And not saying anything bad about the fast riders or anything, but it was time for a change. People are getting more and more stuff. I mean, we can see TVs out there now. You know, this stuff is stuff that's got to be disposed of in a special way. You can't just take it to the dump and dump it. And if we continue with what we've got now, it's going to start costing us money if we have to go get this stuff, even with a court order. But we're going to have to pay up front to get this disposed of. And when you start talking about computer parts, electronics, and all this other stuff they got out now, mattresses, and here you'll read it talks about diseased material and stuff, chemicals. Well, we don't have that in the other code. This one's got it. So I can go out now and say, this is what we've got, this is what we can do, and this is what you're responsible for, and it lays it out for us. And you'll see where it talks a lot about contractors. If a contractor goes out and cuts a tree, well, see, Councilman Johnson, okay, it's those two who are responsible for seeing to it that that gets disposed of properly, not the city. If the utility that cut it doesn't do it, or the contractor, then I got to come to you and say, you got to get rid of this. And that gives me that leeway, whereas now I'm kind of, my hands are tied because they say, well, I want to see it right. And when you show it to them, it really doesn't have a lot of text with it. I mean, there's not a lot of meat to it. And this, I think, would help us if we ever had to go to court of law. We've got more to stand on, you know, instead of just a little paragraph of what the past used to be. But I think if we don't pass this, I think we're passing up a good opportunity to better a small portion of our codes. And I've got different codes that I'm looking at now that I think we're trying to change. So you'll be seeing more of me. But I think right now we need this. So I go out there and I can bear down on people with this. You know, I got something I can stand on, and I know I'm backed up with what I got in black and white. I've been kind of leery on some of these cases because it's you darn if you do, you darn if you don't. So when you teeter-totter on the fence, you make the wrong call, you set a precedence. With this, I can stay on. I can make one precedence, and that's sure you're responsible. And I know what we're responsible for. And that's all I need to be able to go in the field. So that's all I've really got to say. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be ready to answer.
Mr. Tom, Mayor, but before you get into it, may I suggest an amendment? If you look at 1A, contagious disease refuse, the removal of, what I would recommend that you do is insert the words personal protective equipment or PPE. And that would have to be an amendment to this, but with the virus going on and so many people suiting up to deal with it, and then they're having to deal with that waste, because it's my understanding they have to change in and out of all this astronaut suit every single room they go into. so there's going to be a lot of waste there. So I was just looking at it, I think it looks really good, but I would suggest that one amendment.
Since we haven't approved any of it yet, I don't know if we'd have to amend it, we just add that part to it as we vote on it. And we have to have this read twice, so that this meeting and the next meeting. The next meeting, you will have a ordinance drawn up that will state all that in it, but instead of what it says now, it would say PPE, personal protective equipment, and that way, when you vote, that's what you're voting on.
Thank you, Tommy. And that is basically in there for our people that have to go out and deal with this stuff. You know, if you go with these mattresses, you don't know if you got lights, covered with lights or whatever it could be. We're trying to protect them also.
You don't know if there's residue meth or fentanyl on stuff like that. If you touch that fentanyl, if you just inhale it, you're going to go into a coma, basically. So you're right. We need to have to wear protective stuff dealing with that stuff because you have no clue what's on it.
Yeah, and it's some of that stuff's been laying out there for months. So, you know, and I'm dealing with trying to get the property owners lined up now to get something done.
I think these proposed changes are appropriate and have been needed, and I don't know when the last time any revision was done, but it was probably written back when majority of the people were like the gentleman back there was talking about. They had pride, and you didn't need to specify to this extent, but things have changed, and I applaud the changes.
Thank you. But yeah, it does, you know, it's generation coming up now, so computer literate, that they start questioning all stuff, and they think because they got a computer, they know it, they can get away with it. So we just got to stay up with the games where we got to go with it, you know. When they change, we got to change. Anybody got anything else?
Motion to approve ordinance 0921-01.
I make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Johnson.
This really needed to be done a long time ago to update everything. And I think it will really help us out a lot by doing that. That's all I've got.
Councilman Wright. No. Floor is open for discussion. Call roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item C, discuss and possibly approve a legal representative for lawsuit. Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Seeking approval by the city. Before we do that, Teresa doesn't ever say much, but she sort of guided our hand on this ordinance and helped us walk it through there. We told her what we needed to do, and she really played a big role in helping get this first reading done. So great job by Teresa as well. Sorry to go off the agenda, but on item C right there, seeking approval of the city council to employ the services of Gary Prince, a lawyer with O'Neill, Parker, and Williamson to represent the city in the court case involving the sinkhole. I think it's been an issue that's been going on for quite a long time, and now it's time to enter the court trial period. And I did call Mr. Prince, spoke with him. He's represented municipalities and counties in numerous lawsuits. He would represent the city at the same rate of our city attorney. The city attorney cannot represent the city because he was in a court case with a defendant earlier, so he had to recuse himself from that. So Mr. Prince, upon your all's approval, would represent the city in the ongoing litigation.
Motion to approve Mr. Prince as the attorney for this lawsuit.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Russell.
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Russell. Councilman Johnson. Floor is open for any further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next item, discuss and possibly approve surplus equipment mowers from the golf course. I think that's in your packet that you have. they've got some old boards up there and stuff they need to get rid of, clear some space out, so they're wanting to put them on surplus and sell them out. You've got a list there in your packet. Motion to approve.
I make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Russell. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Frost. Councilman Russell.
They need space back.
Councilman Frost.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll go into council remarks and things in just a minute, but I want to go back real quick. I've sat here and I've jotted notes down and stuff about what the gentleman was talking about cleaning our city up. And it, that was one of the main things that I did run on, was to clean Harriman up. And it gets frustrating because it seems like you clean one up and another one messes up. What I'd like, Jimmy, our next meeting, if you could get a report together, kind of for council, as to where you're at. I've seen where you're at by sitting in your office and talking about these things, but if you'll get us a report of what's going on with the activity of the building downtown that's been tore down. I know we've got it in litigation. The 2 buildings that the guy lives out of state, we've been trying for 6 months or more to get him served. We can't find him, but you can update them what we're doing now, what's going on. I do know that there's a lot going on, but if you'll let the council know, and we'll try to keep that on our Facebook page. And I wish we had somewhere where people could go and stay anonymous, where they could go on, and I think we do. I think it's on our website. We do. Where you can go on and put on there issues you got, problems you got with whether it's overgrown stuff, and us deal with it. But going back, it shouldn't take a person coming to us and telling us. It should be, we have to be we have to be out there looking and seeing what's going on. I'm not throwing that at Jimmy. Jimmy's one person who just came on. Even us as a councilman, I try to ride around Harriman every night, and almost every day I'll come in and tell Scott something, or I'll tell Jimmy, hey, did you see this? Or I'll call HEB, hey, there's a light burn out here. They get tired of hearing from me, but it's got to be a team effort that we all do. It's also going to be a team effort from the community. They have to buy in to want to clean their place up. I'm lucky. I live on the hill and there's no neighbors really. I don't have anybody beside me that I can see. So I don't see a lot of the stuff. But when I drive home, I pass a house going up Barnell that the grass was this high. And I went to Jimmy. I said, man, we got to do something. This is terrible. And he put a note on the door because there was nobody living there. And I said, they'll never come get that note. Well, finally they did. And they mowed some of it stuff and they talked to him. But, it's sad that we have to do that. It's sad that we have to take taxpayers' money and pay someone to have to do that. But that's what we live in now. But I think a lot of that change could come from even us being positive and talking to people in the community and saying, hey, some of our friends even live like that. Hey, what are you doing? Get that junk car out of here. Clean this up. Clean that up. It's going to take a team to do it. Jimmy can't do it by himself. I always say, people blame pastors for everything. A pastor can only do so much. The congregation's got to help and do their part, and that's what we've got to do. And we are the leaders of this city, so we've got to take that initiative to push these things. So I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you telling how a lot of people feel, because that's the way a lot of people in Harriman feel. And a lot of people just don't have to come to council and just bring it to us. But I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming and talking to us. And I promise you'll see some changes. All right, we'll go into council remarks. Councilman Russell.
Mayor, probably 4 or 5 years ago, when I first come on council, we talked about some nuisance laws and nuisance ordinance. Maybe we should revisit that. I know it kind of fell flat. Maybe we should look back into that.
I think we should, and that's one of the things that I've talked to Jimmy about. That's one of the things he's been looking at is what our laws is. And, we've done some changes, I think. Buddy and some of them have done some changes to some of the ordinances, but I think we need to get back to seeing. And we asked one time, we take ours to city court. Well, as we all know, city court, you can come or not come, it seems like. I don't understand what the system is, but it's broke. Just to be honest with you, it's broke. If you don't come, I don't know what you get, slap on the hand. But anyway, we've got to change the way we do it. And I think that a city next to us just changed it, and they had a, what's it called,
I know what you're talking about.
It's not a judge, it's a, where they have more power. And we're going to start looking at doing something like that. Right now, we find $50 a day. I don't know that we've ever found anybody, you know. Seems like every time we go to court, and we wind up losing. But anyway, or nothing gets done. So I agree with you. We need to be looking into that. And we need to hold people accountable, you know, for what they do.
That's all.
All right, thanks. Mr. Frost?
No, sir.
Mr. Holly?
No, sir.
Mr. Johnson?
Want to commend Jimmy on, since he's come on, I drive through Harriman all the time, and just to speak with people and stuff, and he was sitting down off Amy Road down there one day, taking pictures of the property had screwed up. And I hadn't been there, 2 minutes, and that guy pulls up right beside me, says, "What are y'all gonna do about this property right here?" And I said, "That's exactly what we're talking about." And he goes, "Well, good, I'm glad to see y'all got somebody to finally get in here and get this stuff cleaned up." And he said, "Well, I'm working on it." And I guess they live out of town, don't they?
But according to the deed, it's somebody here, but when I addressed them, they said they thought the city took it over.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and sent them a notice of violation anyway.
But he's hit the road trying to get this stuff cleaned up. I've seen him numerous times on properties looking at it and stuff. That's all I've got.
Councilman Rowe? Okay, I don't have anything else except for, we do have a lot of events coming up. Be sure to be checking our website out, our Facebook out, and keeping up with everything going on. The trunk or treat's coming up in October, and as Scott mentioned, a lot of the other events going on. Come be a part of it, and let's keep growing Harriman. If you ain't been to Midtown lately, it looks like a mountain of dirt down there where they've started the construction on the Burger King. There is an announcement coming up real soon on other things coming down there, but it's coming real soon. So we'll just stay in suspense until we figure out what it is. All right, anything else need to come before us, council? Motion to adjourn? Second? Second. All in favor, aye? Any opposed, like sign?